You might be surprised at how much you already know. You just need to learn how to read the signs. Because people leave clues all the time. And Nietzsche's 18 truths will show you how to spot them and understand what they mean. This is a skill that no one teaches you, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. But this video isn't just a quick list of surface-level advice. It's a detailed breakdown divided into 3 powerful parts, each building on the last. If you skip ahead or miss one, you'll miss out on the depth that makes this truly work. So stay with me, because by the end of all 3 parts, you'll understand others in a whole new way. From a young age, you're taught to trust what people say. Words are our currency. But Nietzsche warned us not to be fooled by language, because people don't speak from truth. They speak from survival, from ego, from fear. The surface of someone's personality is not who they really are. It's their defense mechanism. The person who seems overly kind might not be kind at all. They might be scared of rejection. The one who seems strong might be falling apart, hoping no one notices. And the most deceptive thing about humans is that they don't even realize they're doing it. People often wear masks to hide their true selves, even when they appear strong. This is because humans are naturally deceptive and don't even realize it. We're all actors in a play we didn't write, and our smiles, opinions, and tone are all shaped by our past experiences. This is why people aren't always hiding from you, but rather from themselves. Nietzsche once said, "Every profound spirit needs a mask." However, he didn't mean this as an insult, but as a warning not to mistake the mask for the person. People often leak the truth unintentionally through their body language, tone of voice, and reactions. Even Nietzsche's first psychological truth is that everyone wears a mask to survive. This is not because they're fake, but because they're scared. To fit in society, people create a version of themselves they hope will be accepted. However, masks are not perfect and can slip, revealing the first sign of truth, which is tension. Pay attention to what makes someone uncomfortable to uncover their true feelings. When people are uncomfortable, it's often the first sign of truth. Pay attention to what makes them uneasy. That's where the real person comes out. 2. What people hate in others often reveals what they're hiding in themselves. This is one of Nietzsche's most insightful points. Projection. When someone constantly mocks arrogance, they're usually insecure about their own self-worth. When someone can't stop pointing out dishonesty in others, they're often hiding a truth they haven't faced. We project our fears and insecurities onto others. So when you want to understand someone, don't just look at what they admire. Look at what they criticize and why. 3. Silence can reveal more than words. Nietzsche believed that truth came from actions, not words. He saw language as a tool for hiding, often used to avoid confronting reality. When someone pauses before answering, when they dodge certain topics, when they give short, rehearsed replies to deep questions, that silence is louder than any words. A person avoiding vulnerability is revealing everything about what they fear. 4. Excessive virtue is often a disguise for vanity. Be cautious of the person who loudly proclaims their purity, the one who always corrects others, always preaches. Nietzsche called this the will to power in disguise. Sometimes morality becomes a mask for superiority. Enns saw this as a disguise for the will to power. Sometimes, people use morality as a mask for their superiority. The louder the virtue signal, the more there's something being hidden behind it. True goodness doesn't need recognition. 7. People don't lie to you first, they lie to themselves. This one changes everything. The lies you hear from people. I'm fine. I'm over it. I don't care. Aren't these lies meant to hurt you? They're lies that people have rehearsed so often they believe them. Nietzsche understood self-deception not as a sin but as a defense mechanism. When someone's story doesn't add up, don't assume they're trying to deceive you. Instead, realize they've been doing it to themselves for a long time. And that's what makes reading them possible, because the inconsistencies reveal the truth. 8. When someone feels superior, they're hiding inferiority. Reading people isn't just about noticing their behavior, but understanding their underlying emotions. When someone is arrogant, they're often hiding insecurity. When someone constantly boasts about their achievements, they're probably insecure about their worth. When someone puts others down casually, they're likely afraid of being overlooked. Real confidence comes from within and doesn't require external validation. If someone needs to dominate, control, or prove themselves, it's a sign of insecurity. Behind every confident exterior, there's often a scared child wearing a crown. Reading people isn't about judging them, but rather understanding their core. When someone interrupts constantly, it could be a sign of fear of being forgotten. When someone posts obsessively about happiness, it could be a cry for help. When someone avoids eye contact while saying, "I'm fine," it's a sign to listen to the body, not the words. Use these insights not to gain power, but to extend compassion. The more clearly you see someone, the less likely you are to hate them. That's the secret of Nietzsche. He didn't want you to see through others so you could control them, but rather so you could understand and empathize with them. Nietzsche's secret was that he didn't want you to control others by seeing through them. Instead, he wanted you to connect with them by seeing through their masks. If you've ever felt like you were only seeing the surface of someone, or wished you could decode what's really going on beneath the mask, leave a comment below. Let's discuss the moments when people showed you the truth without saying a word. And if this video helped you see people differently, subscribe. There's more to come, and you won't want to miss it. In part 1, we explored how people create personas to protect themselves. But in part 2, we dive deeper into the places where those personas start to unravel. As Nietzsche said, the self is not a fixed thing. In part 2, we delve deeper into the cracks where those personas begin to unravel. As Nietzsche believed, the self is not a fixed entity. It's a performance, a collection of roles that we play to survive in the world. And when this performance is threatened, the truth comes out. Most of our actions are driven by fear. Let's start with this because it's more common than you might think. 7. Most of our actions are driven by unconscious fear. Ask yourself this: why do people over-explain? Why do they dominate conversations or disappear completely? Why do they say yes when they clearly mean no? Fear. Fear of rejection, humiliation, failure, abandonment. Nietzsche knew that humans rarely act from pure desire. They act from a deep-seated fear of losing something: status, love, self-worth. So when you want to understand someone, stop focusing on what they say they want. Instead, ask, what are they afraid of losing? When you want to understand someone, don't focus on what they say they want. Instead, ask, what are they afraid of losing? That's where the real truth lies. Criticism is a mirror. When someone constantly criticizes others, pay attention. 9. When someone criticizes too much, it's projection. The person who mocks emotional people might be hiding their own feelings. The person who puts others down for their appearance might be struggling with their own self-image. Remember, judgment is almost always about the self, not the other. So when you hear repeated criticism, don't get distracted by the target. Instead, look at the speaker. What part of themselves are they trying to deny? Projection isn't just a defense mechanism. It's a confession. If you listen closely, it reveals exactly where someone's pain lives. Confidence can often be a mask for guilt or insecurity. You've probably met someone like this before, the person who seems completely sure of themselves, always in control, and always composed. You've probably met someone who seems very confident, in control, and composed. But if you observe them closely, you'll notice the tension in their jaw, the way they overprepare, and the defensiveness they show under pressure. This is because confidence can sometimes be a mask for guilt. People who are chronically confident often try to hide something they're ashamed of or regret. So when someone seems too confident, don't be intimidated. Instead, be curious. Pay attention to the exaggerations they use, as they can reveal the hidden truth. This is a subtle but powerful technique that once you see it, you can't unsee it. 11. People reveal their true selves through exaggeration. Someone who constantly says they don't care what others think is likely hiding something they do care about. Someone who claims to be always happy is likely hiding something they're not. Exaggeration is a tell. If someone says you're always happy, they're probably not. Exaggeration is a sign that the ego is trying to cover up doubt. Nietzsche believed that extremism in any direction is a sign of imbalance, not strength. So when someone's statements sound too absolute, don't believe the content. Look beneath the surface. Exaggeration is a way to drown out uncertainty. The question is, what are they trying to hide? The need for control often stems from inner turmoil. People seek control in their jobs, relationships, and routines, but some do so to an obsessive degree. This is a red flag. Those who need control often fear chaos within themselves. Nietzsche saw this clearly. When the inner world is chaotic, the outer world must be managed obsessively. If someone micromanages every detail, can't handle change, and dominates others to feel powerful, it's not because they're strong. It's because something inside them feels out of control. So instead of fearing the controlling person, see them for who they really are. People feel out of control on the inside, so they fear the controlling person. But instead of seeing them as a threat, recognize their vulnerability. They're scared that if they let go, everything will fall apart. The stricter the exterior, the more fragile the interior. A school's emptiness masked as performance. This insight from Nietzsche is still relevant today. 12. The louder the performance, the emptier the core. Look at social media. The constant need for validation, the perfect image, the curated identity. Nietzsche saw this as a sign of weakness, but it's actually a cry for help. When someone is constantly performing, it's because they don't believe they'll be seen or loved without it. So they create noise, color, and drama. But the person who truly knows themselves doesn't need to perform. They're already whole. So when someone's life looks like a performance, remember this. It's not a show of power, but a cry for help. It's not about showing off power. It's about recognizing a subtle signal of vulnerability. You might be starting to feel it now, the shift. When you enter a room, you can sense it. The patterns become more pronounced than the words. You see someone who constantly interrupts and realizes they're afraid of being overlooked. You notice someone who boasts excessively and senses their own insecurity. You're not reading minds, but you're reading between the lines. Nietzsche gave you the tool to do this. This isn't just a skill. It's a responsibility, because once you learn to see people in a deeper way, you can't unsee it. And you'll start to understand that most people are struggling silently behind their polished facades. It's not about using this knowledge to gain an advantage. It's about extending compassion. When you see the fear behind the bravado, the insecurity behind the arrogance, you don't become weaker, you become stronger. If this part of the video has opened your eyes, wait until the next one. Because in part 2, we dive deeper into the subject. If this section of the video has opened your eyes, wait until the end. In part 3, we go even deeper. We'll explore how people's deepest childhood wounds shape their adult personalities. How their envy, their silence, their need for recognition, all reveal their true selves. You'll learn the final 6 truths that will help you see people with complete clarity. But more importantly, you'll understand yourself. By now, something in you has shifted. You don't just see people, you feel them. Not as villains or victims, but as humans trying to survive with masks they didn't even choose. But we're not done yet. Because behind every behavior is a belief, and behind every belief is a wound. This final part is about learning to recognize the soul. The deep story that lies beneath the surface of everyone you meet. Nietzsche didn't just expose people's patterns. He revealed where those patterns come from. Let's finish what we started. 13. People don't speak from logic, they speak from pain. You might think that people are rational, that they argue based on facts, make decisions based on reason. People often speak from their emotions, not their logic. They may claim that their beliefs are based on reason, but in reality, they're protecting a pain. When someone says they don't believe in love, it's not because they've thought it through and come to a logical conclusion. Instead, they're trying to avoid feeling the pain of love again. People form their opinions based on their experiences, and then justify those opinions with logic. So, when you want to understand someone's worldview, don't just ask what they believe. Ask what has hurt them in the past. Ask what scares them. Ask about their deepest fears. This will give you a different perspective. Instead of focusing on why they believe what they do, you'll be able to see what they're afraid of repeating. And once you understand that, you won't react defensively. You'll be able to empathize and connect with them on a deeper level. When you see someone reacting negatively to weakness, it's a sign of their true power. To truly understand someone's character, observe how they treat those who are vulnerable. Nietzsche believed that true strength comes not from dominance, but from restraint. If someone ridicules vulnerability, they are afraid of their own weakness. If someone punishes mistakes, they have never been allowed to make any. If someone always wins but leaves others defeated, they are still at war with themselves. But the person who can empathize with weakness without judgment, who can sit with sadness without running away, who can forgive what they could have punished, has won the inner battle. They don't need to prove anything because they have already won the war within. To truly read someone, give them a moment of compassion. What they do in that moment will reveal their true character, not just their public persona. When someone fears being forgotten, they seek attention. You've probably met someone who always needs to be seen and heard. Every time they enter a room, every story they tell, every outfit they wear screams, "Notice me." Have you ever encountered someone who seems to crave attention? It's almost as if they're screaming, "Look at me," at every turn. At first glance, it might appear that they're confident. But Nietzsche believed that this need for attention often stems from a deeper fear. The fear of being invisible, of being forgotten, of living and dying without making a mark. So people create noise to drown out the silence. The child who was ignored grows up to be the adult who overcompensates. And instead of asking for love directly, they demand it indirectly through their performance, their storytelling, or their chaos. When you see someone who's seeking too much attention, don't jump to conclusions. Ask what they're afraid will happen if they're not noticed. Because sometimes, attention isn't about vanity, it's a cry for help. And when it comes to criticism, people often attack because they admire, not because they hate. Nichols once said that people don't always attack out of spite. They attack because they're in pain. When they see someone who embodies a part of themselves that they've abandoned, it's like a reminder of what they've lost. So the next time someone attacks you, remember that they might be in pain, too. The person who tears down someone successful, mocks someone confident, and gossips about someone free isn't just mean, they're in pain. Seeing someone embody a part of you that you've abandoned reminds you of what you've lost. So instead of celebrating the other, we destroy them. But envy is just unspoken desire. It's the soul saying, I want that, too, but I don't believe I'm allowed. If you can see this in others, you become immune to petty hate. If you can see this in yourself, you become free. People often act out their childhood, not their beliefs. You've heard it said, people don't change. But Nietzsche would say, people repeat. They repeat the roles they were forced to play, the fears they were taught to carry, the dynamics they never escaped. A person who was never heard becomes someone who never listens. A person who is punished for expressing emotions becomes cold, logical, detached. A person who had to earn love becomes someone who performs for affection even when it's toxic. They think they're acting from beliefs, but really they're just reenacting the past. So if you want to understand someone, don't just look at who they are. Ask who they had to be, because behavior is just biography. And behind every adult is a child still waiting to feel safe. Every adult was once a child who yearned for safety. At age 18, their past behaviors become a clear reflection of their unspoken feelings. If you know how to pay attention, these patterns can reveal the deepest truths about a person. It's not always easy for people to express their pain, but they will show it to you through their actions. A person who avoids close relationships, works excessively, or flirts with everyone but connects with no one is not acting randomly. They're making a statement. They're saying, this is how I protect myself. They're saying, this is where I was hurt. They're saying, this is what I fear repeating. By learning to listen beyond words, you can understand the underlying emotions that drive these behaviors. You'll stop projecting your own feelings onto others and instead become a reflection of their true selves. This newfound insight will change everything. As you begin to understand, you realize that you're not just a weapon, but a mirror reflecting back what you see. You become someone who chooses grace, even when it's difficult. This is what makes you powerful, not any tactic or trick. You're not just reading people, you're remembering yourself. Take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. It's not just about other people, it's about you, your own patterns, your own fears, and your own childhood scripts. The more clearly you see others, the more clearly you see yourself. This isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning of a new way of seeing. Nietzsche didn't just want us to observe, he wanted us to awaken. To know that everything we judge in others is something we carry, and everything we admire is something we long to embody. If you felt seen by this video, if you've recognized patterns in people or in yourself, don't keep it to yourself. Share which of these 18 truths hit you the hardest. Let's build something honest together in a world full of masks. And if this resonated with you, subscribe. This is just the beginning of learning to see what's hidden and becoming who you really are. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing. This is just the beginning of your journey to discovering your true self and uncovering your hidden potential.